Welcome to a brand new episode of Undisputed Anime Podcast. This is the podcast where we love to talk about anime news, reviews, and sometimes controversy. I'm one of your hosts, Zane Reed, aka Zane Taichou, aka Hashira Zane. And as always, I'm joined by my best friend. He is an omnipotent reader of manga and manhwa. And there's one about a Nintendo Switch 2 that's coming out soon that he may have read about, but he won't tell you about it because if he tells you, Nintendo will come for him and then they'll do away with him, like that video of the guy who unboxed it for 7 seconds and now he's disappeared. It's Susu Day.
I'm terrified. I didn't need that kind of anxiety on this a Sunday afternoon.
Did you see the 7-second clip of the guy unboxing a Nintendo Switch 2?
I didn't, but that guy's a fool. But honestly, if I received anything from Nintendo early,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even tell you.
No.
That would be under. I love my current life and my family too much to get on the wrong side of Captain Nintendo.
Yeah, where they send around Luigi where he does that stare.
Yeah. I don't need to look out in my back garden. He's just standing there in the garden.
With that
Yeah.
middle
Middle of the night, you hear, "Ah!"
It's a me.
Go away.
Yeah. I've been a good boy, I promise. Yeah, it's wild. Nintendo power is wild.
They do not mess around.
No
Stuff. They've got the might of 10,000 lawyers, and they'll disappear you in an instant.
And your video, and
and you know what? That's why I don't understand. Like, obviously, say what you will about Power Worlds. I haven't played it. I don't really have an opinion on it. But I'm so shocked that it even if it was going to be this much of an issue for Nintendo, I don't understand. I don't understand how it even got to being published in the first place.
Yeah.
It feels like they could have shut that down early because the trailer came out years before the actual game got released.
Yeah. It was like on TikTok for a good 2 years, I'd say, before.
I guess maybe the trailer itself didn't show a ton of Pokemon-esque sort of stuff. It had the creatures, but it didn't have the catch and throw mechanics or anything like that.
Yeah, and I guess until they get their hands on a copy, and then they can go through every file and break it down and stuff, right?
Don't really have a case until it's there because they don't know how close. It's not really IP infringement until that point, is it? So,
and I guess it could be a case of how much money does Power World make on something adjacent or close enough, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, there's always money as a consideration, isn't there? Regardless, that's not what this podcast is about. Or we be Undisputed Power World, and we are not.
Or Undisputed Games. Might be out there. You never know. Yeah. How have you been otherwise? You been good?
I'm just very busy, sir.
Very
busy. I haven't watched any anime this week because of how busy I've been. So,
my word.
I know, right? Sometimes life just gets you. How about you?
Busy as well. I've been trying to do a little bit more streaming. So, for example, we streamed the Crunchyroll Awards on twitch.tv/Zane Taichou. But, of course, the VOD is up on YouTube as well. So, if you want to check that out, links will be in the description. I wore a full-on suit and I wore these red sunglasses as well. And the hilarious thing is, currently I've got some cuts and bruises on my forehead, and someone in the chat said I look like a black daredevil, and I was like, I'll take that as a compliment.
Phenomenal. Did you get knocked around?
Well,
fighting over that last copy of a manga in Water Zones.
Well, there's 3 stories I've been telling, and feel free to choose any of these going forward. But I've either said, oh, I've played a little bit of rugby, and things get rough when you're in the ruck and in the mall and stuff. I also said I took part in the old county event that is the cheese roll. I was in the cheese roll, and my head swole a little bit here and there and stuff. Well, the third story is that I put on a coconut face mask, and I had a reaction.
I know which one I'm going to choose to believe. But let's let the viewers make that distinction.
Yeah, just remember how tough your Taichou is. Don't you forget it. So yeah, that's the long and short of it. But I'm doing well otherwise. No concussions, by the way, in case anyone is worried. I'm all good, all sorted. And Anime Awards. Lots to break down, lots to talk about. But before we do, just to remind you, this is an anime podcast. We want you to help support us by liking, subscribing, all that jazz. Once we do hit, I've been looking into this, by the way. Once we hit a certain threshold of like subscribers or reviews on podcast service, we can go ad free. So if you ever want to listen to this without any ads, get your friends, get your cousins, get anyone to subscribe. And that way we can unlock it and you don't have to listen to all those annoying ads. So again, help support us by helping you. Whew. Susie Day, the Crunchyroll Awards was something. Like, it was a 3-hour long stream. Again, I watched the whole thing. It was really a good show. Like, I have to admit, I danced my ass off to Flo, to Lisa, to what are they called? Creepy Nuts.
Creepy Nuts.
Got there in the end. It was a good time.
Excellent to hear.
There's been a lot of talk about who won and who lost.
As always is the case, but I do think that this time around, the controversy is around not so much around the actual what won, but like how they won. I guess is that it? That why the whispers that I'm hearing.
Yeah. Should we go through who won and then talk about the drama around it, or do you want to tackle the drama first and then talk about the results?
Let's just jump straight into it. Because I mean, do you want to just address the elephant in the room? Should we just address the elephant in the room?
The solo sized elephant in the room.
Yeah, solo leveling cleaned up.
Solo leveling cleaned up like crazy. I want to say they won maybe 12 of the different I think there is 12 categories, but they won something like 7.
7, 8, 9. They won 9 things overall.
Ooh.
So 1, 2, if you count that, so just in case. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 things. Obviously, one of those categories was like it won several voice over awards. But regardless, so leveling cleaned up in a big way, more so than I think that I was expecting, because this is obviously based on season 1.
Yes, and this also adds into some of the thoughts and speculation around it. So solo leveling won all sorts of different categories, from best action to best main character, best score to best ending sequence, best voice actor in numerous different countries, including English with Alex Lee.
Our boy, Alex Lee.
To be fair, yeah, fantastic performance. But the sentiment around it is that it won best anime of the year went to solo leveling. Now, any other year that might not have been such an issue, but a year that had free reign has a lot of people, including myself, like stop and think about, how's this happen? Like, an anime series that was so celebrated in Free Ren, critically acclaimed, one of the highest ranking animes in years on My Anime List, IMDb, all the different outlets, loses to season 1 of Solo Leveling. And
It's a mystery.
It is a mystery. And some of that speculation starts at the timing of the nominations, because the nominations took place days after season 2 of Solo Leveling had ended. So there's a speculation of maybe there's a little bit of recency bias. Maybe people didn't realize that they're voting for season 1, not season 2.
Because it isn't clear. Like, I remember actually, I think I mentioned it on the show, it wasn't made clear on the votes that which season you're voting for. I made the assumption that it would be season 1 based on, they used obviously season 1's like
graphics,
graphic artwork and stuff like that. Is like, but if you're jumping in to show your support for a season and you've just watched season 2, you could be like, yeah, absolutely, Solo Leveling, because you're gonna be Solo Leveling as a whole. You know,
I mean, it caught the whole community in a bubble. It had, again, not to say that it was terrible, it had 9.6 rated episodes. Like, it did really well. But again, it just kind of felt like, this. And just to kind of, I guess, a little context as well, I'm going to bring up previous winners, because this, again, kind of blew up on social media. Let me share my screen, and don't you worry, audio listeners, I'll read through the list for you. So, previous winners include, in 2017, where it first started, Yuri on Ice.
Phenomenal.
2018, we've got Made in the Abyss. Yeah. 2019, Devilman Crybaby. 2020, Demon Slayer. 2021, JJK. 2022, Attack on Titan. 2023, we had Cyberpunk Edge Runners. 2024, we had JJK Season 2. And then this year, 2025, Solo Leveling. When you look at this list, I don't know about you, but this is how some people are interpreting it. And, you know, again, feel free to air your thoughts and such in the comments. But it feels like there's a shift where it just becomes shonen.
It does. What I would say, looking at this list, though, is that you can see that there is a trend change based on when the lockdowns began. So we're talking about, like, obviously when the this might not be the right term for it, but like when the anime community renaissance happened, where we suddenly had this massive boom in people getting into it.
Yeah.
You can see that reflected here. Because obviously things like Yuri on Ice, I thought was incredible, but with the amount of people watching anime right now, I don't think that I don't think Yuri on Ice would have won if it had been in after that boom.
Yeah.
And stuff. Same with Devilman Crybaby. I think the Devilman Crybaby is like really good, but I also think that there's a little bit of like nuance to it, like that some people probably wouldn't like stuff. So I do think that the trend is probably been affected by how many people got into anime over the lockdown and have continued it.
Yeah, because
every time a shonen comes out and it's good, the internet blows up and everyone's talking about it. Like I obviously like watch some game streams and stuff like that. You got like anime, like you got streamers talking about like popular like shonen anime and stuff. Like you're talking about like the hot thing at the moment. So it definitely gets skewed by that. I think it's much easier. Like this isn't like to discredit anyone, but like, you know, it's some people aren't here looking for a story like Free Ren, which is a lot more complicated and drawn out. They just want to go into something and they want a One Piece, They want to
Yeah.
go in, they want to see some fighting, and that's it. You know,
Yeah.
they just want some action with a bit of comedy.
Yeah, no, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I certainly have those types of shows. Like, Windbreaker was that show until recently. It's added an extra depth that I wasn't expecting. But yeah, totally, like you said. And the same with, like, I don't know, shows like WWE. You're only in to kind of watch a little bit of, you know, nonsensical wrestling and stuff like that and a bit of fun. So, no, I completely understand that. I
But
think
there is a definite shift.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like you said, it's become a lot more popular and I think a lot more available. But then, I don't know. Like, for example, Apothecary Diaries was in every other category that Solo Leveling was. And again, that had been really, really hot. But I was surprised it didn't win as much as I would have initially thought. And I thought, again, because it's on Netflix and stuff, I thought, oh, maybe it's got a wider audience, but maybe they just didn't turn up to vote. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose when it comes to voting as well, like you said, there is a lot of, like, some people just don't like the hassle of doing it. They're like, oh, that's my favorite, that's what I would vote for, but I'm not going to actually go to the website. Because I did find that, like, probably this is my own opinion, I just found that the voting process this time around was a little bit, it wasn't tedious, but like you could only vote for the thing that was shown on that page. It's like it was like literally like, this is the nomination, you got to go through every single thing to get to so you have to basically vote in every category.
Yeah.
I don't recall there being an option to skip.
Yeah, no,
So,
I think you're right.
and that can be tiresome for some people who just came in there, like they might watch one or two anime and they're like, okay, I just want to vote for these, what categories are there, and you got to go through every single thing to get to those categories.
I watched back my stream on the nomination, and that was a 2-hour long video. But of course, I'm talking to, chat, and I'm, maybe dancing around. Oh, what can I choose for best score? I love Bleach, but so yeah. Like you said, it does feel a little long-winded compared to previous years. And of course, they introduced whole new categories as well, like best isekai. That's a new category. There was a global achievement, which wasn't exactly one voted for, but it was, again, another award that was started this year. So yeah, it was a little bit more longer than normal years. Previous years.
But again, just going off that as well, I think that just with awards like this, if there is one anime that is hugely popular, then people will go out of their way to vote for it. Because some people, even though this is like something so innocuous, it doesn't really mean an awful lot other than like accolades. Some people will go out of their way to overwhelmingly show their support for something. And you'll have communities, like this happens all over the internet and all forms of media. You'll have like communities of people who are like, this is the best thing ever, and we need to help them win so we can get more of this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else that's been spoken about is the voting process. Now, again, we're no experts on this, and we haven't participated in the judges' vote. But the whole idea is that there is a panel of judges who vote for their favorites, and then the rest is the audience. And historically, the judges' votes are supposed to be weighted more, and it's the same with other award ceremonies, like the Game Awards, for example. The publications are weighted more against fan votes. That's why, for example, Baldur's Gate 3 won, not Spider-Man 2. That sort of scenario. But what was really interesting is there's a podcast called The Quest for the Best Anime. Fantastic podcast. Highly recommend checking it out. It's got Mother's Basement, who's a famous anime YouTuber, and Glass, Looking Through the Glass, I think their name is. But they revealed a lot in terms of the process as a judge. And they explained that, quote unquote, in their words, but they were approached and they were asked what anime would they put in these categories. It's not like previous years where they say, here's the anime we're thinking about for these categories. They actually had to say themselves, because normally there's like a tier list and you kind of put them in to say, oh yeah, these four maybe are weighted definitely for best action or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But this year that wasn't the case. And apparently some had a second round and others didn't. So I'm just going to pull up the rules for those that are watching on YouTube so you can see this. But Susude, how do you feel about that? Perhaps the judges' vote wasn't the same as previous years.
I mean, it's really hard to say because, like, I mean, obviously that this has all come out in this podcast and stuff like that. But like, is this? It has this like do we categorically know exactly how the votes are tallied at the end of the day?
So
I think you're going to answer that question for me now.
Voting process. This is on the Crunchyroll website as well. How does voting work? As we have in previous years, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards include 2 rounds of voting. In round 1, a panel of judges determine the 6 initial nominees in each category. Round 2, the same panel votes alongside fans to determine the winner in each category. Okay. Winners will be announced in person at the Crunchyroll Anime Awards show on May 25th. What some judges are saying is that they didn't get called for a second round.
I see. I mean, this is purely speculation. But could it be one of those situations? Because what they said is the truth, that they had obviously been approached and asked to choose one thing for each category.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that maybe during that process they were like, oh no, too many people are voting for this one thing, like, and that's going to skew the results generally? Like, because like if you approached like 100 people on a panel and you said, what would you put in this category, and like 80% of them said and they only had one choice and 80% said, oh, let's put solo leveling in there, then you'll be like, well, that's going to really skew the results, because if we ask those same people again, they're going to say the same thing alongside the community, which might also be heavily leaning towards that thing.
I think there is an element of it, because again, most of these judges are either creators, writers, or journalists, and they review hundreds and thousands of things every month. Like, there must be at least a good 100, maybe 107 new series every month, or every season, shall we say. And it must be so hard to be like, oh, what was the best action anime I watched last year? Let me think. Season 1 of Solo Leveling, Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that. Instead of having a list provided for them to be like, now put these series into a category, and then kind of reviewing, okay, how many people put Demon Slayer in their top 4 for best action, and then kind of collating that way. And
I feel like it needed to be like waves of like, I think that there needed to be like a top level panel which decided the nominations in their entirety.
Yeah.
Like made up of like very like big, like very trusted names that have been shown to be very objective and have interesting opinions.
Yeah.
And then it goes down to like the second panel of people who then like they'll like do their vote, and then it goes to the popular vote.
Yeah.
So basically it's like with all things like this, like I guess like even with the information that we got, even though we understand the rules based on what they're telling us, we don't have the actual data. I would love if the data got released. I would love to go over that, because I would love to see exactly how many votes were cast. Because then in doing that, you could then work out what the weighting is.
Yeah,
and stuff. I would love to see the data.
Yeah,
because I don't know. We don't know enough about like how it was all done at the end of the day. We only know what the general process was.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to see the actual numbers, like how many people voted overall, like what was the actual like pool of people who voted for every single thing, like how many people came and only voted for like one thing.
Yeah, and also like again, some of these series are not even on Crunchyroll. Like again, we've spoken about Apothecary Diaries, but there's other things like Ninja Kamui was Adult Swim, and other numerous platforms as well. So again, it's kind of like how many people are going to vote for, I don't know, Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night when it wasn't even on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I guess to again, and then we could go. That's another interesting way to like kind of look about how things could be slightly more weighted, because like if you've got to go to like adult, like maybe they're counting on the fact that like people who watch anime on Animal Swim are going to be a lot fewer in number, and as a result, they might get less votes. So that means that their votes counted for a little bit more to keep them competitive.
It's interesting way to look at it. Yeah,
but again, do not know. Like
speculation
do not know.
Window.
Yeah, it's all speculation. And at the end of the day, I know that we love to have a good speculation, like speculate on the show, but with things like this, especially when there's like controversy surrounding it, I don't like to look too deeply into it because it's like, you know, there's a lot of information we don't have.
Yeah. And it's one-sided story, isn't it? Like until we hear the other side, we can only speculate and, you know, make up our own minds on things that we hear.
And I don't want to speak for you, Zane, but I don't want this to be like one of those things where we turn into like a rage bait like podcast where we're just talking about what people are angry about.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. It's like we've always sided on the power of positivity on this podcast, and we just want to make sure you guys are informed on these sort of situations, because the last thing we want is, you know, you finding out or, you know, not being in the know to, again, look into these sort of things. So again, I'm just going to pop that podcast on the screen. So again, anyone who's watching on YouTube, feel free to check it out. Quest for the Best, an anime podcast. It is a really insightful watch. And all three of these people have had some level of participating in the Anime Awards in previous years, not this year specifically, but in previous years. So it's definitely a good listen to find out the machinations, how the sausage is made in the factory, as the old saying goes.
How the sausage is made. No one else was in the room where it happened, I hear.
The room where it happened. The room where it happened.
We're going to get a Hamilton anime at some point. Disney will do it. Disney would do it.
They got the money to. I'm trying to think of a cast in my head who could be what.
Maybe we should do an episode in the future where we do some like we think of some properties that aren't anime that would make great animes, and then we like do some like do some voice casting.
Yeah, I mean we did years ago, and we kind of spoke it into existence. The Star Wars one still shocks me to this day that we were the catalyst of that one.
Whether you wanted it or not, we made that happen.
We made it happen. So, yeah, be sure to give your suggestions, because someone out there is listening.
Someone out there is listening, and they'll take it as your idea. But you'll know.
Okay, let's actually get into who won what, because this is also an interesting topic. Something I realized whilst watching the awards is how bloody good Lisa is when it comes to anime openings, because she started off the performance with Sword Art Online, and I was like, oh, this is a bop. And then it dawned on me, Sword Art Online came out like 10 years ago. And then ended the whole concert with Demon Slayer opening.
Honestly, Lisa is like she's gone on to become this like titan of anime like music. Like she's just like people want her to do that. It's kind of like in the same way that people like shonen titles were like, we gotta get Asian Kung Fu Generation, or we've gotta get like
Flow
or something like that. You know, you get you have one hit, and then everyone's like, everyone loves this. We need some of this.
Yeah. I think Creepy Nuts is going to be the next one in that conversation.
Absolutely. Like they've had like the last two things that they put out for anime have been absolute like viral like wonders. Like people who don't like anime were using the audio.
Exactly. Okay. So, by the way, Flow performed Eureka 7. It still blows my mind. It's not the Flow song I would have chosen, but I was like, damn, this is another one from their back catalogue.
Love it.
Who won what? So, I don't think I'll go through everything, because again, a lot of this is solo leveling. But surprised that Anya won. What was it? Must protect at all costs. This is now the Anya Award. I want to say this is like 3 years on the trot.
She's won every year since Spy Family came out.
Yeah. I think the 1 year that she didn't win it, it was Boji Ranking of Kings, right? Which is probably like the first time this category got started.
I don't even know, mate. Not even.
Best score went to Solo Leveling. I think that should have gone to Bleach personally, but
I agree with you there, because I think that a lot of I don't think that like Solo Leveling is completely undeserving, but I do think that a lot of people place their vote based on the fact of that they were thinking about Solo Leveling season 2.
Yeah.
I love Solo Leveling, like for reals. Like I love it so much. I think it's so good. Like really enjoying it. But I'm not gonna like glaze it enough to like say that it deserved like best score. You know?
Yeah. Considering it beat movies as well, like Look Back was in this category, and that's a full-on like movie with an
absolutely
orchestra and stuff. But yeah, again, I digress. Best anime song went to Dan Da Dan, of course.
That was wholly earned. Like that was. I still to this day, every time I'm in the office for work, like not working from home, I listen to that song at least once a shift, and I still have to stop everything I'm doing when you get to that little bridge in the middle. Absolutely, where my soul leaves my body.
Yes, it's that ascension feel. It's so good. Best supporting character went to Fern from Free Ren. Not mad at this. I thought it was really good.
Like me neither. I think that for like all the characters in Free Ren are so well written. So,
best opening sequence went to Dan Da Dan as well. Rightfully so. So well animated. Best ending sequence went to Solo Leveling. I think this is kind of a cool one as well because it had like the timer. I was trying to remember what it was, and then I looked it up, and it's kind of a cool one. But I think season 2's got a better one now.
Is it the one with the feet?
I think so. I think it's the one where it's like looks like a prison cell, and he's like holding his head in his hands quite a lot.
Isn't that season 1? That one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's that. Yeah, that's season 1. Season 2 is the one where he's like walking to the throne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You're with me.
Yeah.
Best main character.
ReZero. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Go
ahead.
ReZero for best isekai anime is not unexpected at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said, and I thought I would have liked someone else to win.
Yeah.
But I know in my heart of hearts that ReZero would win because it's so hugely popular.
Same. Yeah, I really wanted Shangri-La Frontier to win it because I think it's so underrated. But again, I knew it was in a class of titans because ReZero season 3, and that time I got reincarnated as a slime season 3 as well, maybe.
Yeah.
So again, it was a tall order for it to stand out. Best drama, Free Ren.
Best drama, absolutely. Well deserved. I feel like I wished Free Ren won a few more awards than it did, but I'm happy with the ones they did win. So,
absolutely. Best slice of life. Too Many Losing Heroines. I ain't seen it, so I can't really comment on it. But again, I'm glad it picked something up because I think Matt from Manga Attack really rated this one.
It does look like something that he would really enjoy, and that sounded like shade. That wasn't shade at all. But it does seem like the sort of thing he likes because he likes things like that are a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more complex. I think loves a slice of life. I do love a slice of life. Would you believe it? Recently talked to Matt about a slice of life for a Manga Attack episode. So stay tuned.
Ooh.
Gosh, I'm just having a look through here just to see what I can find here. The best comedy, Mashal. Every time I watch Mashal, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah,
it's so uncomplex. It's just like it knows exactly what it is. Again, I think that for the most part, both all the dubs are great that I watch. Alex Lee is obviously Mash, and he does a great deadpan job at being that character. Good stuff. Thought that was perfect, and I think I probably did vote for that.
Yeah. No, I again, I wasn't mad at it because knowing its popularity and stuff, I think I voted for My Dear Friend.
Yeah.
Because that was just like hilarious in terms of, but it's very like internet humor, if you know what I mean. With that one. Best romance went to Blue Box.
Blue Box. Now, I've not watched the anime Blue Box yet, but I have been reading the manga, and it's a really lovely romance. But it's like one of those romances where it's like not right in your face. It's like it feels like in Blue Box that the romance is like kind of the side story. It doesn't feel like it's it doesn't feel like it's the main thing. So, but maybe the anime is different. Maybe they made some continuity changes. You can say.
Hey, no.
I think it's a really nice story. Really well paced. I need to get back onto it.
Best background art. Now, again, I don't hate the fact that Free Ren won this, but I think I voted for Delicious in Dungeon, just on the whole idea that the dungeon is almost like another character in the story.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. I think that I would have loved I love that Free Ren won this. Maybe it's one of those things that like people are looking for. Like Delicious in Dungeon doesn't have these like beautiful vistas.
Yes.
Like landscapes, whereas Free Ren does. But again, like you said, like Delicious in Dungeon is like very, very good in that like the dungeon itself is a character in its own right.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, the sense when there's like a sensitive moment in Free Ren, like, you know, on reflection, or I think of Hamill's statue and it's just like a flower garden.
Yeah.
I think background art.
I do think that Free Ren is like up there with like Ghibli and stuff.
Yeah.
And sort of things. Like the people who put this together knew how to use the background to tell, like to enhance the moment.
Yeah.
Like you have those beautiful moments where like the rain's just like, not specifically Free Ren, but you'll have like, you know, those beautiful moments where the rain's just finished and you get this like really hyper, like beautifully drawn like raindrop coming off the tip of a leaf and stuff like that. You know, just to show like it's over and it's beautiful. Nature is beautiful.
So good. What else do we have? Best director went to Free Ren, rightly deserved. Best character design went to Dan.
Great character design.
yeah, again, credit to Science Saru. They really knocked it out of the park there.
Were people voting for the best character design, or were they voting for the grandma of the show?
That hadn't really crossed my mind. To be fair,
maybe some food for thought there, because I saw one too many reaction videos to the first episode of Dan to Dan that she showed up in.
Yes. Yes. No, that makes sense. That does make some sense. Yeah. Best animation, Demon Slayer. Not a crazy surprise.
Not a surprise at all. They continue to blow out of the park with those great combat animations. Best
Very
continuing
much.
series.
Best continuing series, yeah.
Demon Slayer again. Just rolling on it, just rolling off the back of it. So again, Demon Slayer has been always very high quality. I know that the Hashira training arc wasn't everyone's favorite, but it's necessary. And with an anime which is following, or with a story in general which is so as concise and point A to point B as Demon Slayer is, you can't skip over it. It needs to be given the time it deserves.
Yeah. And again, even with those episodes where it's just like, wow, it still blows my mind that there's a whole episode, a whole fight sequence with Tanjiro and Tengen. In manga, it was only like 2 panels. And in this, it's like a whole 10-minute fight sequence. And it's just kind of like, they really know how to kind of stretch it out where it needs to, right? And to just give it that gravity.
I would say in this instance, though, I would have loved for Bleach to have won. Again, I'm wondering if the fact that Bleach can only be accessed on Disney Plus is the reason why it didn't do it better than it did.
It's a very valid point.
Because everything's a lot more accessible on Crunchyroll. I think generally, if people are gonna sub to a platform there for anime, they're probably gonna have Crunchyroll, and they probably already got Netflix.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But saying that, Look Back Film of the Year came out on Amazon Prime. Fujimoto getting a W in the bag there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Look Back is phenomenal. And I guess everything else in that category, dare I say, wasn't really at the same level as Look Back. As terrible as it sounds, and I really enjoyed it, but the My Hero movie isn't exactly the same sort of narrative as
they're not in the same category, because it would be like comparing Naruto movie to the Girl Who Leapt Through Time, or something like that. It's like a movie that's been written as a movie compared to something that has been written as a movie to play on the back of a series. It's like do you want the main course as it is, or do you just want more of the same of the fast food?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I just want to jump back to this category really quickly. Best original anime, Ninja Kamui.
Talk to us, Zane. Talk to us. Tell us your thoughts and opinions on this.
This is the most bizarre thing to have won besides Anime of the Year. This one was really, really bizarre because, and I think there was a little bit of an audible gasp as well. The reason why this is so weird is, first of all, the first sort of, I want to say 4 or 5 episodes are really well animated. The first 2 episodes are incredible. And then it kind of gets less and less. But it's like any other anime. You expect it to kind of dip down and then get back up by episode 6 and 7, slow down, and then finale with the home stretch. But what was really weird about this is that it then swapped from classic hand 2D drawings and then became like 3D CGI with like cyber ninjas just fighting. And it just felt very different from where it started. And it just wasn't good. It just wasn't that good. And this is why a lot of people were questioning this winning this category, because if you look it up on IMDb, My Anime List, it just doesn't rank as high as some of the other original anime like Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night or Girl Band Cry, maybe even Metallic Rouge, which I know wasn't everyone's favorite, but I was a geek for.
I do wonder if it is like I suggested, in that, like, because it was only available on Adult Swim, maybe it was weighted a little bit higher.
Yeah, my only thing was that maybe people checked out the first 2 episodes, because again, at the time, at the beginning of the year, there was a hotness about it because it had incredible animation in the first 2 episodes. But then people fall off things naturally, as they would do. And they probably when it came to voting, they were like, "Oh yeah, I remember Ninja Cowboy. It had like that great first episode, and that's it." Like, that's the only way I can imagine people.
Maybe I'll posit this to you. I'll give you this. Maybe, and this isn't always the case, but maybe Ninja Cowboy has a very, very hyper loyal fan base that like is just the sorts of people who do not leave reviews.
Yeah.
It's just because, like, we often fall on the reviews on this show to, like, make a judgment on whether something is, like, you know, worth checking out. But, you know, I personally never leave reviews and stuff. Like very rarely do I actually, like, feel like I love this so much I'm going to write a review about it. If I get that notification on my phone that says you use this app like 25 hours a week, how about leaving us a rating? I'm like, no, I'll do it later. Like, you know?
Yeah. I guess you're onto something. Like, sometimes what is perceived as like terrible, like you say, it could have like a little cult following that blossoms over time, and you know, people they show up, you know, at the randomest times. Like, I'm trying to think of an example, but I want to say like movies like The Room, which had that guy who's on the roof and he's like, "Hello, Mark." You know, it's a cult classic.
I did not hit her. I did not.
Terrible movie, but
following.
The cult following gives it a new lease on life.
Yeah. You also consider this, and we brought this up before. It might not be a consideration, but it's something I'm thinking about. It's like, you know, there's obviously, if you're gonna go out of your way to go to Adult Swim or a partner to watch anime, you might not actually watch any other anime but that. Like, that might be you might watch it just because you saw it in that place where you watch your Adult Swim content.
That's a valid point. Yeah.
So it may be that there's a disproportionate amount of voters who are actually using these platforms that's the only anime they watch.
Yeah, because again, Adult Swim is the place that has Cowboy Bebop, has Samurai Champloo, Lazarus, that's happening right now. Like, it has all of the sort of, like, I want to say hardcore.
It's like, feels like adult anime.
Yeah.
It's like this is I'm an adult now. I can't be concerning myself with these child samurai with these elf waifus.
Yeah, getting isekai'd every other week.
No. There needs to be some level of realism, to some level of grit
and revenge and blood.
I can imagine that this is me fighting against my boss and the company I work at.
And yeah, best new series went to Solo Leveling, and of course, anime of the year went to Solo Leveling.
So again, I don't hate that it got anime of the year. I did super enjoy it. I'm a massive fan of the property in general. But, you know, up against things like Dan to Dan, Delicious in Dungeon, and Free Ren, and the Apothecary Diaries, I expected to see one of them win.
Yeah.
Over that. I think I was torn between Delicious in Dungeon and Free Ren. And that's why one of those is what I cast in my vote for. Like I said, I don't hate Solo Leveling 1. I think it was great. I think it was season 1, a lot slower paced, not quite as much action packed as season 2 was. Still great. I really enjoyed it as someone who enjoyed the manhwa.
Yeah.
But Free Ren was just it was one of those things where I was recommended to watch it, and I started watching it like when it was already like 18 episodes in. And it was one of those things where I watched the first episode, and then all of a sudden I was 6 episodes deep, and it was like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You know? Same with Delicious in Dungeon. Like those sorts of experiences where I watched the first episode, I was like, I need to consume as much of this as possible.
Yeah. It really surprised me that Delicious in Dungeon didn't pick up more awards as well, because I want to say it maybe won 1 award. Same with Kaiju number 8. Like, where is it?
It won Kaiju number 8 got a voice acting award.
Yeah, I want to say in like a different country, like French or something.
Did Delicious in Dungeon actually win anything?
You know what? I don't think it did.
It didn't, and that's really, really surprising because it was exceptional.
Yeah, and the popularity of it as well. Like when we went to conventions, there were so many stalls that had, key rings, fan art, stickers, all sorts for it.
Again, when we're talking about stuff like this, the people who go to conventions are people who have typically liked anime and consumed it for a long, long, long time. Whereas, for the large part, when you do a vote like this, it's it's not just those people; it's the popular vote, and it's going to be people who don't consume the media like we do.
Yeah.
It's going to be people who, people who are just like, I heard my friend at work told me about this. I'm going to check out this one particular show on their recommendation. It's but that's it. That's the only anime I watch. I don't consume any other anime media, but this was all right.
Yeah. And I think another telltale to that point is why Demon Slayer wins Best Ongoing Anime Series and not One Piece, which has won it previous years.
Yeah, absolutely. And One Piece is great. It's a great piece of media. But for the most part, the majority of voters, I'd say, probably don't have it in them to watch thousands of episodes of anime.
Quite possibly. But again, the One Piece fan base is so huge and so loyal.
Maybe they got complacent. Maybe they were like, we're so big, how could we lose? and that's how you lose elections.
Here we go.
You get complacent. You're like, how could we possibly lose against these upstarts? Then it happens. So that's how the villain always ends up losing in most animes and video games, or at most JRPGs. It's like the villain consistently underestimates the hero, and they let them live.
It's funny you should say that. We watched Troy last night, which is like a 2002 movie.
We watched it a couple of weeks ago.
Did you really?
We actually did. Yeah.
Was it? Did your wife read the book?
She didn't. No, she just was looking for something to watch on Netflix.
Oh, okay. My wife read a book for book club.
Yeah,
and
I know the kind of books that they're reading.
And this is the funny part as well, because she described it to me, and I was like, "That sounds a lot like boy love to me." And she was like, "No, I don't think it is." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough. Whatever."
It is.
And then she read halfway through, and she was like, "This is boy love. This is definitely yaoi." And I was like, "Okay."
It's the story about bloody set in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
It's like you can't go into that expecting a heteronormative relationships to be happening.
But yeah, it's so she wanted to see the movie to kind of draw parallels and stuff like that. So that's why we watched it. But as you rightly pointed out, They underestimated the horse.
You're like, it's clear they're clearly cowards. This is a great gift that they've left to us because they revere us so much. They're so scared of us. They've given us this horse and they've left.
Every time throughout like the whole hour and a half, I was like, we got to get to the horse. Like, that's the only part I look forward to, is how stupidly they're like, look at this magnificent horse.
Like, no one even checks. It's like, knock knock. Like, it's probably filled with gold.
Neptune's beard. He's gonna love this if we give it to him. Yeah, it cracks me up every time they get to the horse.
Troy, gosh, great cast, star-studded cast.
Yeah, a young Orlando Bloom. Completely forgot.
Bloom. Yeah, got Brad in it. Is it Brad Pitt in it?
Brad Pitt as Achilles. Yeah, Eric Bana as Hector.
What is this, a Troy podcast?
I know. Also, my wife hilariously surprised that Orlando Bloom shot an arrow through Achilles.
Was she like...
Yeah, she thought it was going to be a straight arrow through the heart. And she was like, it got him in his ankle. And I was like, his Achilles.
His heel. Remember the law. You got to remember the deep law. Rose law says his mum could only held onto his ankle when he dips him in the sticks. That's the only place.
His only weakness, it's in the Disney Hercules, that confounded heel. But yes. Anyways, that has been the Anime Awards. Our thoughts, our reactions. Let us know your thoughts, your impressions. What do you think of this little controversy that's happened as well? Again, we'd love to know your thoughts. Be sure to leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, like the video, as you'll be helping us out in a big bad way. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, which is, might I remind you, available on all platforms globally, be sure to leave a star rating, because again, that will help us out in a big bad way. Susu Day, again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about anime and the nonsense that is Troy. Any final words from yourself?
Absolute cinema.
In the interim, be sure to check out all the other videos and stuff in the description. And again, we look forward to seeing and hearing from you in a fortnight. Thanks for your time.
Let's go.
Peace.
Okay, let's go.